Hello students, welcome to IAS by Heart. This is the Prelims East Season 2. With the success of Prelims East Season 1 for the year 2020, we are enthused to start Prelims East Season 2 for the upcoming Prelims examination 2021. Through this Season 2, what we are going to do is we are going to solve most probable current affair 500 plus questions through MCQs. So without delay, we will get into the questions. The first question is about PM CARES Fund, Public Authority, and RTA Act. Why this particular question has been placed in your session 1? Recently, during the COVID-19 lockdown, there was query about PM CARES Fund through RTI. Okay, so at that time, PM office has declared that PM CARES Fund is not a public authority. So the keyword of the question here is PM CARES Fund and RTA Act. But this question is about asking about public authority. Why not raising question about PM CARES Fund RTA Act is, even though PM CARES Fund and RTA Act is very important for the prelims examination and both the mains examinations, the public authority authority become crucial. Why? The UPSC has changed its demand. Previously, the UPSC was asking questions about PM CARES Fund and RTA Act like concepts, but now it has changed its demand to public authority. So what UPSC thinks that without knowing public authority, what you are going to do with PM CARES Fund, whether it is a public authority or not, through RTA Act. So we have placed this question. We have placed crucial role in this question for public authority. Okay, so before solving this question, we will go get into the explanation and then come back to solve this statements. Okay, explanation. RTA Act 2005. RTA Act 2005 defines a public authority as any authority or body or institution of self-government established or constituted by or under constitution, okay, by any other law made by parliament, by any other law made by state legislature, by notification issued or order made by the appropriate government, and includes any body owned, controlled, or substantially financed. Second is a non-government organization substantially financed directly or indirectly by funds provided by appropriate government. Okay, so this is the definition of public authority under RTI Act 2005. RTI Act 2005 defines public authority under this following manner. So after going through the explanation and the definition of public authority, we are coming back to the question, solving this question. So first statement is by any other law made by parliament. Okay, this statement is correct. By any other law made by state legislature. This is also correct, as we have discussed in the explanation and the definition of public authority. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct. And then statement 3, any non-government organization substantially financed directly or indirectly by funds provided by the appropriate government. Okay, this is also correct statement. Third statement is also correct statement. Okay. So question is about correct statement. You should be very careful that whether the question is asked correct statement or incorrect statement. So most of the students will lose their cutoff within 1 or 2 marks. So this not correct or not correct play a crucial role in your prelims scoring. So you should be very aware about correct or not correct. So here the correct option could be option D. All the statements are correct. So the option here is option D. All the statements above are correct. Okay. Question 2. 10th schedule. The question is about 10th schedule. Okay. Why this particular question has been placed in this session? Recently, in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and even in Karnataka, before that in Manipur and Uttarakhand in 2013, Uttarakhand, Assam, you can see that you can note a clear pattern that there was defections from one political party to another political party by the elected members of the state legislature, both state legislature and parliament. So the recent episodes has created a discussion forum for the 10th schedule and anti-defection laws, reforming in the anti-defection laws and increasing or decreasing the power of speaker. So before solving this question, we will get into the information provided in the explanation. So the explanation is the 10th schedule. Actually, 10th schedule, it was inserted through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. Further, it was amended in the year through 91st Amendment Act of 2003. Okay, so 10th schedule is dealing with this 52nd Amendment Act of 1985 created 10th schedule, included 10th schedule in our constitution. So the 10th schedule is dealing with mergers, says that only when 2/3, do you know that 2/3 of the members agree to merge the party, would they be exempt from disqualification? Okay. It prohibits defection to protect the stability of the government, but does not prohibit mergers. Yes, 10th schedule prohibits the defection, but not mergers. It does not prohibit mergers. It does not prohibit mergers means party is splitting by 2/3, and then this 2/3 is going to join with another political party, means this is not a defection. Okay. 52nd, as I told, 52nd Amendment Act of 1985 provide for the disqualification of the members of parliament. Yes, it covers both parliament and state legislature on the ground of defection. Defection means the elected members in both state legislature and parliament are moving from one political party to another political party. Political party means they have won the election through political party A. After winning the election, they are defecting. They are jumping to political party B for their personal gains. To avoid these personal gains and ensure the democracy, this ground of defection was brought through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1985. Then the 91st Amendment Act of 2003 aimed at limiting the size of Council of Ministers to debar defectors from holding public offices. Yes. Before that, there was no provision. Before 91st Amendment Act, there was no provision that the defected MLAs cannot hold public office, but it was misused by elected members at that time. So again, 91st Amendment Act brought into light. So this provision was included in the Constitution. Okay, this is last statement. In Kikoto-Hollagan versus Shachilu judgment, Supreme Court clarified that the 10th schedule is constitutionally valid. Yes, this is constitutionally valid because Supreme Court is given the mandatory role of protecting the democracy and constitution. So it neither impeaches upon the freedom of speech and expression nor subverts the democratic rights of elected members. So yes, this is how Supreme Court clarified and declared that in Kikoto-Hollagan judgment, this 10th schedule is constitutionally valid. Okay. So after going through all these informations, we are coming back to solve these questions. Consider the following statements. The 10th schedule of the Constitution prohibits defection. Yes, prohibits defection to protect the stability of the government, but does not prohibit measures. Yes, as we have discussed in the explanation page, this statement is correct. 52nd Amendment Act debarred defecting members from holding public offices. No, this statement is incorrect. Why this statement is incorrect? Actually, 91st Amendment Act, 91st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003 brought this feature into the Constitution. Okay, so statement 2 is incorrect. In Kikoto-Hollagan judgment, Supreme Court clarified that the 10th schedule is constitutionally valid. Yes, third statement is correct. The question is about correct statement. So statement 2 is incorrect. If you remove statement 2, option A is gone, option B is gone, and option D is gone. So the answer could be option D. C is the correct answer. So move on to the third question. Question 3. How does the National Population Register (NPR) differs from census? So why this question has been raised? Recently, central government has declared that we are going to conduct a national population registers, and already it has completed NRC in the Assam state. So NPR, actually this conduct of NPR is delayed due to COVID lockdown. So we have to go through these differences between NPR and census and the NRC. So this becomes very important for your upcoming prelims examination. This topic is much shouted, much discussed news in all the news forums. Okay, so why I have placed this type of question here? This is very important. If you go through 2018 prelims question paper, there was a question about Central Pollution Control Board and National Green Tribunal. In that question, they asked about the differences between these two important environmental acts and environmental institutions. Okay, so that following that manner, I have designed this question for your upcoming prelims examination. So first statement, second statement. Before going through these statements, we will go through the differences between these two things and then come back to solve these questions. Okay, so first NPR, NPR here, census here, and what you can do is you can add one more column NRC. So make this type of different tables and place all these differences. It will be very easy, it will be very handy for your quick revision. Okay, okay. So NPR comprehensive identity database containing a list of all usual residents of the country. Actually, what is all usual resident? Usual resident means it includes both the Indian citizens as well as foreigners, in the sense those who are residing in India temporarily. Okay, so all usual residents of the country. NPR includes all usual residents, but census, it is the largest single source of variety of statistical information on different characteristics of the people. It includes only about population and numbers and their identities, but it includes all the important characteristics. So it will be very bulky as compared to NPR. Okay, the data collected in census is more than NPR. Okay, NPR collects basic demographic data and biometric particulars. It involves a detailed questionnaire. Even though NPR collects basic biometric data and biometric particulars, it is not as detailed as census. Okay, a mechanism outlined in the set of rules framed under Citizenship Act 1955. Yes, NPR is carried out under the Act of 1955 and various rules set out by the executive under the same act. Actually, census is legally backed by the Census Act created in the 1948 year. Okay, so you should know these differences. There are a lot more differences. You have to prepare your notes for the handy revision. Okay, so the common thing about these are the dissimilarities between census and NPR, but the common similarity between NPR and NRC is both are carried out under the aegis of Registrar General and the ex officio Census Commissioner of India. So both census and NPR is carried out by the Office of Registrar General and the ex officio Census Commissioner of India. Okay, so with this you have to prepare the differences, similarities and dissimilarities about NRC, NPR and census. Okay, after going through this information, we are coming back to solve this question. First statement, NPR is a register of usual residents of a country, whereas census is the largest single source of variety of statistical information on different characters. Yes, this is what we saw in our explanation. So statement 1 is correct. NPR is a mechanism outlined in the set of rules framed under Citizenship Act 1955, whereas census is legally backed by Census 1940. So this statement is also correct as we saw in this discussion explanation page. This second statement is also correct. But here, which of the statement given above is are incorrect. So question is about incorrect statement. You should be very careful. That's why it has been given in the bold letters. So both the statements are correct. So the answer could be option D. Neither one nor two. Both the statements are correct. So neither of the statements are incorrect. Okay. After completing third question, we are moving to the question number 4. The term deepfake was in news, sometimes mentioned in the news recently or later too. Okay, before going through all these topics, we are going to see the information provided in the explanation page. Actually, deepfake is an artificial intelligence software that superimposes a digital composite on to an existing video or audio. Why this deepfake was in news? Recently, after the, I am not sure about whether during or before or after the presidential election in the USA, there was a video released in the name of Obama talking in a forum, which leads to incitement to violence. So at that time, it was carried out a research that deepfake is a tool used by some members to create a violence in USA. Okay, so deepfake was in the news during that episode. So you should be very careful. You should be very aware about what is deepfake technology. Okay, deepfakes are created by machine learning models which use neural networks to manipulate images and videos. So yes, this is how they manipulated the images of Barack Obama and learning videos and audios images. They created that video which led to incitement to violence. Okay, another problem is catfish account deceit. Yeah, this is also related to the same type of criminal cyber crimes. What is catfishing? So this is additional information you should be very clear about it. Catfishing refers to practice of setting up fictitious online profiles, most often for purpose of luring another into fraudulent romantic relationship. Yes, this is for extracting money and collecting data and misusing the data, and again threatening people with this type of tools. So deep fake and catfish both were in the news, so you should be very aware about that. So after going through explanation, we are coming back to solve this question. So deep fake was sometime mentioned in the news recently related to. So in the correct answer is option A. Why this question has been placed, and in this question has been placed in this type means, if you go through 2018 prelims question paper, there was a question that Petya Vanakrai, like that question, are related. These terms are related to. There was a type of question. Okay, so we are placing this question in that same model. Okay, so it becomes very important. We are moving to question number 5. With reference to the Purandara Dasa, okay, Purandara Dasa, who was a saint and a social reformer during medieval India, consider the following statements. Okay, he was a disciple of Dvaita philosophers. Okay, before going through all these statements, we have to know first why this question has been placed about Purandara Dasa. Okay, if you go through the newspapers, news which happened in last 1 year, 1.5 year, in Karnataka there was an issue going on. Okay, with related to Purandara Dasa. Actually, the issue is about what is the birthplace of Purandara Dasa. So it comes very important that we should know about Purandara Dasa. He was a very famous personality during the medieval Indian times. So before going through the statement, we are moving to information provided in the explanation so that we can easily solve this statement given in that question. Okay, Purandara Dasa belonged to Purandara Dasa belonged to Vaishnava tradition. You should be very aware about this. He is associated with Vaishnava tradition during the Vijayanagara rule. So he is a contemporary of Vijayanagara Empire. Okay, so Purandara Dasa is contemporary of Vijayanagara rule. He was a disciple of celebrated Madhva philosopher saint Vyasa Tirtha. So he is a disciple. So both are contemporary. Also, he is a disciple of. So here, what you can infer is that Vyasa Tirtha is also following Vaishnava tradition and a contemporary of yet another great Haridasa and Kanagadasa. So Purandara Dasa becomes a very important personality. He was a contemporary of Vijayanagara Empire. He was a contemporary of Vyasa Tirtha, and then he was a contemporary of great Haridasa and Kanagadasa, who were associated with the medieval Indian history. You should be very informative about these two personalities also. Prior to adoption of Vaishnava tradition, he was a rich merchant and was called Srinivasa Nayaka. So there could be some type of question can be asked in our prelims. Srinivasa Nayaka, which is the another name for who among the following. They can give 4 personalities. So you should find out who is the personality is. So you should be very clear about Srinivasa Nayaka. Actually, Purandaradasa was called as Srinivasa Nayaka. Okay, Purandaradasa was the pioneer who blended the rich musical streams, namely actually Dravidian and Aryan music. So Purandaradasa blended Dravidian Aryan music into create Carnatic music. So Carnatic music blend of Dravidian and Aryan music, and it was blended by our great personality Purandaradasa. He formulated the basic lessons of teaching Carnatic music by structuring graded exercises known as Sravalis and Alankaras. So even though even in this information can be asked this in this type. So in during our medieval history, with reference to our medieval history, the terms Sravavalis and Alankaras are related to. So then they will give Purandaradasa as one option. So you should be very connected about this type of questions with this information. Okay, he is noted for composing Dasa Sahitya as a Bhakti movement vocalist and music scholar. So his important composing is Dasa Sahitya. Okay, after going through this informations, we are coming back to solve this question. He was a disciple of Dvaita philosopher Saint Vyasarita. Yes, just now we gone through this information. So statement one is correct. He blended the rich musical streams, namely Dravidian and Aryan music into, yes, this is also correct. He was a contemporary of both Haridasa and Kanagadasa. Yes, all these statements are correct. Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. All these statements are correct. Question is about which one? Correct statement. So the answer could be option D. D is the correct answer. After solving this question, we are moving back to question number 6. Recently, researchers have coined the term anthropos. Yes, this is very important for your upcoming prelims. Why it becomes very important? If you go through prelims test series, prelims questions for the year 2018, there was a question is about Anthropocene. It was about 6th mass extinction. So why that question was asked in 2018 means at that time there was a term coined by some scholars and some environment researchers about Anthropocene. So that question was asked in that 2018 prelims examination. So now recently researchers have coined the term Anthropos. So it becomes very important. It may be asked in our upcoming prelims. So we should be very aware about the terminology Anthropos. So before solving this question, we are get into explanation provided in the slide. Okay, Anthropos or great past. The Anthropos has another name. Actually, this Anthropos has another name. It is also called as great past. It's a term coined by the researchers in UK to refer to COVID-19 induced lockdown period. Okay, so this is very important. Anthropos means COVID-induced lockdown period. Okay, this is a term. Okay, reduction in human act. Actually, at that time, if you notice that during the lockdown, there was a slogan that nature retreats back. There was a quote released in all the social media that nature retreats back. If you watched the news and if you read the newspapers, there was a very much discussion about nature regains its own character. That's so it was displayed. Okay, so reduction in human activity during the lockdown on both land and sea has been unparalleled. Yes, it is unparalleled and very in the recent history. It is very important. So the effects have been drastic, sudden, and widespread. Yes, within a short span of time, the change in the environment and the nature was very drastic, sudden, and widespread. How it has been said that drastic, sudden, widespread? Because if you see, the animals were back to their own natural habitat, like dolphins came in the public waters of Italy from the seas, and then jackals sighted in the parks and the airports of Tel Aviv in Israel. So this is very important. Okay. On the other hand, both in this lockdown has created both opportunities at the same time challenges also for the some animals like urban dwelling animals What happened in urban dwelling animals such as rat, some other animals, they are depending on the foods provided or discarded by humans. During the lockdown, the doors were completely shut down, so these animals were not getting their own food. Okay, so this lockdown created both the sides. It created both opportunities and also challenges. Okay, after going through this, we are coming back to solve this question. Recently researchers have coined the term anthropos. So here the description of human is large impact on environment. No, this is about anthropocene. Sorry, Anthropocene. The climate induced technological adaptation. No, this is incorrect statement. The coronavirus induced lockdown. This is correct. The near extinction of natural resources. This is the sixth. Sorry. Sixth mass extinction. Okay, sixth mass extinction. Okay, so this is also incorrect. So correct answer could be the option C, the coronavirus induced lockdown period. Okay, after solving this question, we are moving to seventh question. Okay, seventh question. With reference to Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sambada Yojana, consider the following statements. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sambada Yojana. This scheme comes very important for the upcoming prelims examination. Actually, it is very handy for the UPSC to pick questions from Yojana. Every year, 2 or 3 questions has been asked from Yojana, so it becomes very important. But why the question is about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sambada Yojana has been placed in this session means it was much talked Yojana in the news parlance and in the current affairs, much discussed current affairs news in news forums, but UPSC even till now did not ask question about Kisan Sambada Yojana. So for the upcoming prelims, it may raise questions about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sambada Yojana. That's why this question has been placed in this session. Before going through the statement, we are going through this information. After that, solving this. After going through this information, we are going to solve that statements. Okay, explanation. It is a revamped version of scheme for, actually yes, this is a revamped version. It is not an original scheme, it is a revamped version. Already there was a scheme, that a scheme for agro marine processing and development of agro processing clusters. Okay, so the scheme was already present, but this current government revived this scheme and revamped with the current challenges and opportunities. Okay, current challenges and opportunities. Okay, sorry, current challenges and opportunities. Okay, so it is implemented by Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Okay, yes, this is what this becomes important. That is why this question, this scheme was revamped for the current opportunities. It is a central sector scheme, not a centrally sponsored scheme or any other scheme. It is a central sector scheme. Central sector means 100% fund provided by central government. Okay, and implemented for the period of 2016 to 2020. It is co-terminus with the 14th Finance Commission cycle. Yes, 14th Finance Commission cycle is 2016 to 2020. Now 15th Finance Commission has been constituted. It has given 2 reports. This is another, we are not concerned with about that. We will see all this information in the economic questions. So 2016 and 2020. The scheme aims at reducing food wastage, provide quality food to consumers at a reasonable prices, and at the same time doubling farmers' income. This is the objective of this scheme. So sometimes directly the objectives can be asked in your prelims examination. So it should be very careful, because in recent times UPSC is asking about what are the objectives of some terminologies or some schemes, or what are the consequences of some current affairs. So they are asking the objectives, consequences, applications, etc. So you should be very cautious about all these things. So it is actually an umbrella scheme. It has many components. Okay, what are the components? Mega food parks, integrated cold chain, and value addition infrastructure, creation or expansion of food processing and preservation capacities, infrastructure of agro processing clusters, creation of backward and forward linkage. This is very important. In India, it is missing very largely. And then food safety and quality assurance infrastructure, human resources and institutions. So this is very important. After going through this information, we are coming back to solve this question. So it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Just now we saw this is a central sector scheme. Centrally sponsored scheme means some portion of the maybe 50% by central government, 50% by the state government. Okay, so that is a centrally sponsored scheme. So it is not a centrally sponsored scheme. So statement 1 is incorrect. Question is about correct statement. So if you remove statement 1 from these options, you are left with option B. So this is a technique in solving this, finding this correct options. How? If you know statement 1 is incorrect, you can conclude that option D is the correct answer, even though you do not know about statement 2, statement 3, and statement 4. So after knowing whether a statement is correct or not, correct or incorrect, directly you come to the options. So you can save your time in going through this statement, and you can solve more questions easily. Okay, so statement 2. By the way, we have to see all the statements. It is the initiative Ministry of Agriculture. Now just now we saw that it is a Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Okay, third statement, umbrella scheme with its yes, and this is correct statement as we saw now. Integrated cold chain value addition, this is one of the important component of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. So the answer is, correct answer is option B. We are going to question number 8. Okay, the places Abkhaz and Quraysh sometimes appeared in the news recently are located in which among the following countries? Yes, this type of question has been asked year by year in UPSC prelims examination. So we have picked this question in that pattern. Again, why these two terms, these places Abkhaz and Quraysh has been picked for your discussion? Yes, it is the most sought, most discussed in current affairs in international forums. Why international forums? This is because there was a There was an episode that in Saudi Arabia. Sorry, I got told the answer. Sorry, in Saudi Arabia, there was a drone attack in oil fields. So this Abkhaz and Quraysh related to that places. So before solving this question, we are going through this information, provide any explanation. How this actually, it is a very long process. You can read all these things in your materials and the newspaper current affairs. So Houthi is a rebel Shia group of Yemen that is backed by Iran. Actually, South is a rebel group. They belong to Shia sect of Muslims in Yemen. They are a group of Yemen backed by, it is supported by Iran. So see, Yemen, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. 3 countries are involved in this episode, in oil field blast episode. Okay, so how this is a rebel Shia group of Yemen that is backed by Iran bombed the Abkhaz plant as well as Quraysh oil field in Saudi Arabia using drones. Yes, Saudi Arabia and Iran, they were like loggerheads. They are in loggerheads. Okay, so this is the largest ever disruption in crude oil production in Saudi Arabia. Yes, that is why it becomes very important. Why? Because Saudi Arabia supplies 10% of global crude oil and the world's largest crude oil exporter. So Saudi Arabia is very important for energy security of most of the countries. So in that country, these 2 places were attacked through drone attacks. So this is why it wasn't much discussed news in all the news forums. What about India? India imports 80% of its oil consuming. This is a very important fact. You should be very aware. Saudi Arabia is India's second largest supplier of crude oil. It accounts for almost 17% of country's import. Yes. So if there was any attack in Saudi Arabia's oil fields, it is very It is a very important concern for India because Saudi Arabia is the second largest supplier of crude oil for India. India consumes 80% of its oil through imports. So this news is very big important. But UPSC has changed its style. Without asking all these facts, it asks about these places. It has become very handy for UPSC. Okay, so the answer is option C, as we discussed in our explanation page, and the answer is option C. Saudi Arabia is the correct answer. Okay. Question number 9. As per the National Statistical Office, question is here, and the keyword is periodic labor force survey. Okay. Why this question has been placed? Again, if you go through 2018 question paper, there was a question about NSSO's agriculture household survey. In that year, agriculture household survey. So periodic labor force survey, it is the first survey in India. So it becomes very important for the upcoming prelims examination. That's why this question has been placed in the same type of 2018 question in the periodic labor force survey topic. So before solving this question, we will go through the information provided in the explanation page. After that, solve that question. Recently, National Statistical Office released a periodic labor force survey from July 2018 to 2019. Actually, the report is titled as Periodic Labor Force Survey 2018 to 2019. Okay, so this National Statistical Office, it is a combined organization of NSSO plus Central Statistical Office. Previously, NSSO and CS both were working independently, separately. Now both these organizations are combined and created single organization, National Statistical Office. So periodic labor force survey comes very important. PLF is the India's first computer-based survey. Okay, this is a very important fact, crucial information we have to know. Launched by National Statistical Office in 2000. Actually, it was launched in 2017. It released reports in 2018, 2019. Okay, key findings. Very important because in 2018 in that agriculture household survey question, these trends had been asked. These trends had been asked. Okay, so that's what we are going through these key findings. India's unemployment rate fell between July 2018 and June 2019 to 5.8. Actually, before that it was 6.1. In this period, it fell to 5.8. So there was a declining trend in the unemployment rate. It means increase in the employment rate. It can be said in this manner also. Okay, even as the labor force participation rate also. So when labor force participation rate increases, the unemployment rate fell. Okay, this is the combined factors. Okay, so you should be very clear about this concept. And then second finding, female participation rate improved in both rural and urban area. Actually, female labor force participation is actually improved. That is also in urban and rural area. In urban India, joblessness is lower among males than females. Joblessness is lower among males, not females. Okay. The only year of comparable data when the unemployment rate was higher was in 1972. Yes, this was much discussed in all these newspaper by experts. Why? Because the 6.1, this one was questioned. It was the very highest unemployment rate in 2018-19 before in the last 45 years. 45 years means automatically it becomes to 2072-73. Okay. After going through these informations, we are coming back to solve this question. Okay. Female labor force participation rate reduced both in urban and rural areas. As we have seen, it has been improved, not reduced. So statement 1 is incorrect. The only year of comparable data when the unemployment rate was higher was 19. Yes, this is correct as we saw now. In urban India, joblessness was higher among males than females. No, not higher, lower among lower among males. Yeah, as we saw here, this one. Sorry, this one. Lower among males than females. Okay, so statement 3 is incorrect. Only statement 2 is correct. Question is about not correct statement. So if you remove 2 is correct statement. So if you remove 2, we can conclude that option C is a correct answer. So without going through statement 1 and 3, you can conclude that option C is the correct answer. Okay. We are moving to the 10th question. This is the last question of the session. Okay. Baltic Sea is a border of which of the following countries? Russia, Estonia, Norway, Poland. Okay. Why this question has been asked? Recently, there was a agreement and a discussion about a Baltic Sea agreement between India and some other nations. I'm not sure about that. I will go through it and I will tell you. So it becomes very important for upcoming prelims examination in the map reading session of geography. Okay, map reading session of geography. Okay, so why this question has been placed about Baltic Sea? As I told, there was agreement, and then in the year 2017, sorry, I'm not sure about whether it is 2017 or 2019. If you check, there was a question is about Mediterranean Sea. Which of the following countries share their borders with Mediterranean Sea? That's how the question had been asked. So on that line, we have placed this question about Baltic Sea. So if you go through the map, this is the Baltic Sea. Okay, this is the Baltic Sea. So Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Russia shares a border here, and then Poland, and then Germany shares a border here, and then Denmark. Okay, so all these countries are sharing their borders with Baltic Sea. You should be very clear about this. So after going through the maps, we are coming back. So here we are going through option Russia, Estonia, Norway, and Poland. Norway is not sharing border with Baltic Sea. Only Sweden is sharing border with Baltic Sea because Norway is west to Sweden. It shares its border with Atlantic Ocean, not with Baltic Sea. So if you remove Norway from the option 3, if you remove option statement 3, Norway, you can conclude that option D is the correct answer. So on what basis this question has been placed means, even you do not know which countries share their border with Baltic Sea or some other seas. You should be very aware that which of the countries not share their border with that sea or ocean. So going through this line, we can solve the map questions. Okay, so the correct answer could be option B. Okay, so by summarizing, in the first session, we have covered about public authority, anti-defection law, NPR, and the difference between NPR and the census, and the term deepfake, Purandaradasa, with respect to our history, and then anthropocity with respect to our environment, it is a terminology, and then PMKSY. That means Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, one question from a scheme and apply and phrase in the international affairs. Imperial labor forces in the survey in the section of economy, and politics in the session of geography. So we have covered diverse topics here. So we are going to cover diverse topics in the upcoming session. Stay tuned with IAS by Heart. All the best. Thank you. Students, if you have any queries, you can raise your questions. We are very glad to solve your doubts and questions. Okay, thank you.